Let me know if it's visible.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So yeah, so today's topic is, okay. Yeah, it's the presentation is visible, right? The slideshow.
Yes,
Hello.
Chinmay.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll start with demystifying APM with Instana. But to start with, I would first like to explain you what APM is, right? So in a simple term, if you Google or anywhere, APM means application performance monitoring, right? And Instana is the tool. But there could be a two ways. Like one, I could have shown you multiple tools or multiple PPT slides and few points here and there. And the other ways, actually making you understanding with the help of example. So let's do that. Okay. So yeah, so I have taken one very simple example for you to understand what APM is and why APM is needed. Okay, so consider this. You have an application which is running onto your VM. So this is your VM, okay, on which you have some CPU, some RAM, and which has a very simple application with like 3-tier application. You have a UI app at the front end, which is in Angular, a backend, which is in Java, and for database, you have Mongo, and which is being consumed by user. Okay, and let's say after a few days, when after the service is up and running, the application is up and running, user tends to see a bit lag into your application. He's not able to get the response quickly. There is the system is going slow, and he raises a ticket, or he raises this concern with you, with the developers or the owners of this product. So at first glance, you'll say, okay, there is some issue with the application. Maybe the UI is not performing well, or the usage on UI is high. So let's go and increase the UI instances. Okay, the first step would be like, okay, we'll increase the UI instances. But doing so also, it doesn't help. Still, the overall application is slow. You are not able to get the right performance. Then what you do is you will go ahead and increase the backend as well. So you increase backend instances as well. But still, the issue is same. You are not able to see any improvement in the performance. So last step is you will go ahead and increase the database instances, right? And then after you say, okay, now the things are fine, I'm able to see a proper response or the proper values of proper working of the application. But after doing all these three, you realize the extra resources that you increased for UI or backend were not used, right? It doesn't make sense. So you again go and delete those resources. Okay, so if you see what has happened, you have first, you have wasted a lot of time understanding what the main issue was. And second, you have wasted a lot of resources, like you created more instances in UI and backend, and then again, you went and deleted those. So 2 points. One is there was the time wastage, and second, the resource wastage. And third, which was very important, that the user got affected, the market or the experience of user got affected for quite a long time. So this is one use case. Let's say now things are working fine and things are going good ways, but again after a few days, again user is facing some issues. Even the system is slow, is not able to get the proper performance of the application. Now again, the ticket comes to the product ownerships or the developers, and they try to debug more into it. So after doing all those things, they first think, okay, it might be because of the DB again. So they again increase some more instances of database, or the RAM or the CPU of the database, or the database server, right? But still it doesn't solve the problem. So they thought, okay, maybe the Java was a problem. The Java is getting overutilized. So they go and ahead increase the instances, but still it was of no use. Then they tried for UI as well. Still, it doesn't solve the problem, right? So at that time, some system engineer comes in and tells the VM on which it is all deployed, right? the RAM is getting overutilized. So that's the point you realize, oh, it was not this your application, it was the VM on which everything is deployed is getting overutilized. So what you do is you increase the RAM over here. And once you do this, it starts working fine. But again, if you see overall, you have again wasted all the time to identify what was the root cause. And by the time you find a root cause, you have wasted time as well as lots of resources, right? But what if I tell you that there is a way, or there is a automated process uh, which is done by a tool which identifies the root cause, and it will indicate you, and it will pinpoint you saying, hey, the MongoDB is, or the RAM is getting overutilized, and that is the root cause of your problem. You just need to update or increase the RAM or the MongoDB or the problem component. And this is exactly what APM is. And Instana is an offering by IBM for this type of work. So you understood, right, what APM is and what kind of problem or what kind of problem statements it cater to. Okay, any questions till now for understanding what APM is and how Instana or any other APM tool fits into the overall story? Any questions till now? If it is clear, I think the next steps or the next what I'm going to explain you would be much easier. So we'll take a quick 1 minute stop just to understand if there are any questions. Let me check. Chat. You can ask into your chat as well, or you can ask directly. Okay, great. So I assume everyone is clear with what APM is and what Instana is. So as I said, so Instana is a offering by IBM for APM related solutions. Okay, now let's talk about Instana more. So yeah, so as you can see, you have built it. Now it's time to observe it, right? So having a first class application or having a application which caters to all the need of a customer is not enough in now or in the current market. You need to observe it, you need to analyze it, and you need to monitor it, right? Now you will say, like, I give you one use case, but you will say, like, is it that important, and what are the other features Instana give? So to talk about it, I'll move to a next slide, which talks about all the things that you would need to understand for Instana. So over here, I have listed a few of the properties, few of the capabilities, and the use case. We'll talk about it over here as well as part of the demo. So to start with the sources, like which all sources Instana targets. By sources, I mean where all you can use Instana, or where all Instana can be installed, or it can be used against which cloud or which product, right? So as I told you, as I've shown you, so this was a case of a VM, right? But in real life, it could be any cloud. It can be AWS, it can be Azure. This VM could be a Kubernetes cluster, or it can be a VM as well in a small scale. So that's what the sources mean. If you see over here, it supports AWS, GCP, Azure's, all containers, Kubernetes, OpenShift, Tanzu, and all the OSs, right? When you say VM, it would have some OS, right? So we support Mac OS, we support Linux, we support Windows, and not just OSs or the platforms. We also support different products. Like if you talk about by products and technologies, I mean, we support MongoDB or any database like MySQL, Postgres. From technology point of view, we support many backends, Java, Node.js, Python. Same way goes for the UI technologies. So those acts as a sources. Those are the places from where the data would come to Instana, right? Now you'll ask me what kind of data is being ingested. So that's what it is, this data component. So we read or we ingest traces, metrics, logs, events, beacons, and profiles. To give you short information, what all things are, traces are basically kind of a flow of data within your application, how the data is flowing, or how the control flow of your data is within your application. So information about that. Matrix is basically some numerical values pertaining to some parameters of your application or your resources. Could be like CPU usage, RAM usage, disk size, all those things. Logs, I guess you know what logs are. Events are something specific, not just values, but events are captured when there is some certain change in the state, or certain when something crosses certain threshold values, then an event is created, right? So again, information about those profiles are basically with respect to the technologies like Java, Python. It has different profiles, so information upon related to that. So all this data has been collected by Instana platform. Now collection, right? So when I say, so this particular example, right? Let's say I want to monitor all these things. I want to monitor all this application, right? So Instana provides a feature called as auto discovery, all right? So what auto discovery means? So it could be a case that this is a simple application which had only three technologies, or it had only three components. But in real life, the number of technologies or number of products or number of microservices could be a lot. In that case, a product should be, a APM should be capable of auto identifying what all different processes or products or services that are running, and it should be able to track them, right? That's what this particular point is. It is auto discovery and auto trace. It will discover everything automatically, and it will try to get more information about it. By that I also mean, like when we get this information, you might not need to do any code changes or any more extra implementation. With few configuration changes within your application, you should be good enough to get all the monitoring data, right? About the processing. So processing is, there are other products as well who does this kind of work, but most of the them uses sampling. What do you mean by sampling? So the data which is coming in is not in continuous manner. They will take like a few some samples set of the coming data, and then they'll process their algorithms, their model on that sampled data set, and it will propose some solution. But Instana is not like that. It produces, or it captures data every second. So almost the data is almost the real time, and all the processing of its algorithm or the dynamic graph which has been shown over there, or all the analytical model happen on real time data, right? And once now, so if you see from here, from source to the final product, as you do, you have a source, you have a data, the data is getting collected, now data is getting processed. And once you do all this thing, what you get is different capabilities of Instana. So these are the points, or these are the capabilities, or these are the features that Instana support. First, and which is quite obvious, is monitoring of your all applications. Troubleshooting. So obviously, once you monitor and there is some issue with the information which is being shown, you understand like what is the root cause. So analytics also on the same line. Dashboarding and visualization is something we'll see in the demo, where you can have a dashboard and all those information. Alerts is something similar to events. It's a one step ahead of an event. So once an event is created, you can attach certain alerts like sending email, some notification here and there. Anomaly detection is something like if something goes out of the pattern, like if the CPU usage, there is a sudden hike into your CPU utilization, it is kind of anomaly detection, right? So these are different capabilities, and since you have all these capabilities, there are a lot of use cases for which Instana can be used, right? So it can be used as an application performance management, website monitoring, mobile app monitoring, application monitoring. Again, it can be used for cluster related information like Kubernetes monitoring, serverless. Also, it is used for infrastructure monitoring. By infrastructure monitoring, I mean VM based monitoring, right? If you don't want to monitor a cluster or application, you can monitor a VM as well. And given all this use cases, who would be the end user of it? So these are the people who are the end users. So obviously the developers, the DevOps teams, the support teams, or a business user who wants to get in more insight about their product, like which components of their product is getting used, or it has a high in demand, right? So these are the people or the end customers who would be using this particular product, that is Instana, for these use cases. The last thing is enterprise readiness, right? So what it means is there could be a product, not just Instana, so it's more of a generic term. There could be a product, but for a product to be enterprise ready, it should have certain capabilities, like it should be scalable, right? It should be able to have, it should integrate with multiple other products. It should have its own role-based authentication. It should be able to, to install itself on Kubernetes or any self-hosted platform. It should have some API endpoint so that it can be integrated with other products of other uh, organization. So all these things which are required for a product to be enterprise ready is what Instana have, and that's why it is an enterprise ready product. Okay, so this is a quite compact and a single slide information about what Instana is, but I would prefer to show you all this thing in a demo, right? That's why we are going ahead. But before that, I'll give you a quick intro about how internal architecture is. So I won't invest much time over here. Basically, how it works is, Instana is mostly a agent-based product, wherein there is one agent which will be installed onto your VM or onto your cluster, and over there it would do all those auto discovery. It will understand what all different processes or applications are running, and it will start sensing. So there's something called as a sensor as well. So depending upon what things are running, it will download the sensor and will start the sensor, and it will fetch all the information, and it will format in a particular payload, and it will send it to the Instana backend. So that is the Instana server, where all this uh, information connection between different information is done, and it is shown to a user. So it's a inner level architecture. Let's not go deeper into this. Let's move to the demo first. So yeah, let me reload. So yeah, this is what Instana looks like. This is the main landing page. And so we'll go one by one. There are multiple things over here. What are these? All those things will go one by one. So first we'll talk about one type of monitoring, that is website or monitoring, mobile apps monitoring. Okay, let me open any of this. Let's go with this. Okay, this is a mobile app. Let's go with the website. So again, configuration is very simple. You just need to uh, add in a small code snippet which would have some information about your product key and a URL, and you need to place that JavaScript into your application or in a UI. And once you do that, this is what you would get. This is the level of information that you will get. Like it will tell you the page loads for last 1 hour. You can change this to whatever you want, and you can make it live as well. So it will have a live feed. It will show you number of page loads, page transition, then the load time. Again, it will show you geographical view, like from where all your site is been getting visited, or who is using your website. What are the top pages of your application? If there are errors, what are the maximum errors that you are facing? Okay, which errors you are facing? Different speed related information, page load, basically how the usage is. All this information is available over here. Different resources, application will have multiple hyperlinks, right, inside it. So all those hyperlinks, which of those hyperlinks are getting used over here. This is what we had seen in the main summary page. Okay, so the OS browser also, it is showing you from which all browsers it has been used or utilized, from which all countries. Okay, so this is the level of information that you would get from a particular website monitoring feature of Instana. Same goes for mobile app or mobile site as well. Okay. The second feature is applications. So we'll go over here later. First, before that, I want to show you infrastructure. By infrastructure, I mean a host level or a VM level. So I'll show you one interesting view. So yeah, so what you see over here is all these nodes or all these towers are nothing but a VM on which Instana agent is deployed, and it is actually sending all the monitoring information to this particular Instana server. And you can, so it is grouped as per ability zone or the zone which user has provided, and you can filter it either by a zone, either name. So let's take an example of one of them. Maybe let's zoom into Lucia. So let's say what this is. I'll open a dashboard. So yeah, so now we can see this is someone's laptop, and so it could be a laptop, it could be a VM. You just need to install an agent, install an agent onto your machine or onto your VM, and it will tell all the information. So we'll see what all information we are getting. So we are getting OS information, CPU, memory, right? All the different processes that are running over here, and CPU usage, memory usage. Again, each individual individual uh, uh, performance of individual CPUs, GPU, different processes that are running, memory utilization, all right, file system, network interfaces, and a lot more, right? Again, I was talking about events, right? Events and issues. So we can see there is some issue or some event which has been shown over here. So let's see some good event. Let's take this one. Yeah, open dashboard. Now I'm again opening some another VM, which is Linux based VM, and it is showing me some issues, right? If I click over here, it is first showing me some some warning saying your file system is running out and you need to increase. So again, these are kind of a inbuilt alerts or inbuilt events which would trigger after certain specific points, like after 90% it is showing me some warning, and now it's almost full again, it is showing me critical event. So if you relate this to what we had discussed earlier, over here we could have got a warning over here, like when my CPU or a RAM utilization is high, I would get some warning over here, and then a critical alert or critical issue as well over here, right? So this is what VM monitoring or host monitoring or infrastructure monitoring looks like. Next is let's talk about platform, maybe Kubernetes. Let's say you have a Kubernetes cluster at your end and you have deployed your application onto Kubernetes. And what you need to do is again deploy an agent onto your Kubernetes cluster, and it will fetch all the information that you have. It will tell you overall cluster health, its utilizations, all the different nodes which are available, different namespaces, different deployments. Again, you can dig down more into it. You can go and check more information about specific node, right? And again, you can dig down more onto a pod level as well. So it gives very complete and detailed information of each and everything, right? You don't need, you might not need to go into a Kubernetes, log into a Kubernetes cluster and see what is wrong, what is bit critical. It will show it here, over here only, right? And then you can act upon it. And the last and not the least, but very powerful feature is the application related information. Like let's let's say you deploy an agent over your VM, and it shows the application or dependency related information. What it is, I'll show you now. So let's take RoboShop. So let's assume there is a application. Let's say this is our RoboShop application. So it's a simple application which is deployed somewhere, and there are multiple microservices involved in this particular application. and this is how it will track all the information. It will tell you how many calls are going in, what is the latency, what are the top services, okay, what is the processing time. And the best piece is this dependencies. It will automatically detect all the dependencies or all the code flow or the data flow, how the data flow is happening. So these are all the microservices which are part of this particular application. Okay, so it could be a two microservice, or it could be something like a very huge microservice, something like this. So again, this is one big, huge application which has so many microservices, but still Instana is able to track each and every microservice, and it is able to track how the data is flowing within each of this microservice. So for better understanding, let's stick to a simpler one, this one. And if you open, so while looking at this only, I'll understand, okay, there's some issue with the payment payment component. So I'll just open over here, go to dashboard, and I'll see, okay, what is the issue. I will say, okay, something is particular API is not working correctly, and then I can look into this particular API or the code for that, and it will understand. So you can dig more into it. Like if I click over here, it will show me analyze calls. Okay, you can take any of the API calls, and it will show me like how that particular call, from where it is coming. It will show me it is coming from which service. It is coming from a payment service. It is calling this particular database. Again, it is calling me, okay, this particular filter is being used, this particular parameter is being used for this particular query. Again, it is also telling me the stack trace of if there is any error, right? This is the API get call is happening internally. So basically it will give you all the details which are required to understand or debug or to find a root cause for any issues, right? Now that I've talked so much like what Instana is able to do, right? So basic,
So Chinmay, just
yeah,
to interrupt, we are 33:35.
yeah, I'm coming to the last slide. Okay. So now that what I was saying, like Instana has all this data, right? If you see, the main key driving force for Instana is the data. So as you know, whenever you have a data and whenever you have something to ingest that data, there is a data insight, and that's where Watson AI Ops or Turbo comes into picture. When you have all the information, all the data which is required to perform some analytics and to derive some insight of the data. That's why we are going ahead with Turbo and other AI ops tools, wherein Instana forms the base or the source for all those data. Okay. Any so that's it from my side with respect to APM and Instana. Any questions?
Let's move to Neha now.
Okay. I'll stop sharing here.